So we're now going to move on to our segment, which is looking at serious topics like pay parity. Our next session engages with strategies aimed at achieving pay parity within organizations by addressing systemic biases through negotiation tactics. We've got with us in this conversation, and I need you to put your hands together to welcome them on stage, Ms. Nikki Armstrong, Chief Administrator and Legal Officer at Pure Storage. Nikki is highly skilled in leading fast-paced global organizations across both public and private companies. She's a solutions-oriented, trusted advisor with deep expertise across strategy, risk management, employment, etc. We've also got Ms. Subha Pandian, CEO, Agua, leading DEI. She's a diversity strategist and an inclusive culture professional with a proven track record of progressive experience, leveraging diversity and inclusion, employee relations, and solid work ethics. Our moderator is Kasturi Kotha, the Honorary Secretary of NHRD, Bangalore Chapter. She's a transformational and visionary leader in HR and business consultation and has more than 25 years of experience in initiating, setting, and scaling the Global Capability Center. We've got a lot of movement happening. Settle down, ladies and gentlemen. We've got lots of things for you planned in the next hour or so. I need you to settle down and pay attention to what's happening here. It's over to you.
Good evening. I'm sure after the energy that you have shown for the comedy, let's come to the reality. Are you all with us? A little more power? Yes, because ultimately, papi pay ka sawal hai. So we need to come back to the reality. Okay, it's so wonderful to be here, and pay parity in the mic. Yes. Okay, we'll be quick in introducing ourselves, and I think our MC has also done a good job of introducing each one of us. But if you would want to take a minute to introduce and let the crowd know what each of you are into, it might be setting the stage. Yeah? Nikki, yeah?
30 seconds.
Yes.
All right. Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Thank you for hosting us and having us tonight on stage. So I'm Nikki Armstrong. I am the Chief Administrative and Legal Officer of a data storage technology platform company called Pure Storage. It's based in the US, but we have an office here in Bangalore, and it's one of our centers of excellence. And we have about 500 employees here. So what does a Chief Administrative and Legal Officer do? You're probably wondering, what is even that title? So as Rini said, I head up HR, the global legal team. I am a lawyer by background. Our ESG team. I have our Pure Good Foundation, which is our corporate philanthropy. And of course, under HR, I have DE&I and talent management, talent acquisition, and all of those good things. So just a few things.
That's an umbrella.
Little.
Yes. Shubha, you'd want
All
to...
right. I run this company called Agua, and we are in the space of diversity, equity, inclusion. We help organizations to set up the culture that they love. But I'll tell you what is the best bit about it. We talk about diversity, equity quite a bit. But it's all about teaching another human how to be human. And I'm making quite a lot of money doing that in Agua. Thank you.
Great. For the benefit of all type of audience, because we are in the space of diversity, let me just set the pretext a little of what is it all about pay parity and why are we discussing about negotiating it thoroughly. I have some facts. In order to not lose out on, I might read out, bless me for thing. And much before that, I will have to call this out that I am the proxy moderator I have covered up my, I'm covering my dear friend Aparna Chetan, but then lovely to be with these two gorgeous, powerful women. And I really don't envy that Aparna gave me this chance. Yeah, and then I'm also meeting a friend of mine after 16 years. Yeah. So that's great. I mean, why are we talking about all of this is to celebrate every piece of it, right? Every piece of what we would want to flaunt on. Now, coming to the hard facts, women have made meaningful upsurge and gained a lot of representation across globally. And today we have definitely a diverse background. I mean, Nikki representing the global role and Shubha traveling all across, influencing her, thoughts. Globally, we have great representation, and significantly, we are in a promising journey. However, this has to be sustained. And why is this to be sustained? To be more progressive. And some economies have made it far better, and some are really catching up. And we have come a long way, but leading further needs a balancing ground. And that balancing ground is so fragile, and pay parity is one such contributor for it to be on fragile grounds. Yeah. And then, I mean, this is also something on a very recently. I had an opportunity of designing, a women leadership summit, and we wanted to look at some scientific approaches for bringing that pay parity mechanism. And trust me, there was such a lean participation from the folks or the data set that they were not ready to contribute what is the reality. So that itself set the tone that there's so much more to do. And so let's delve in deep into. And Shubha, coming to you, maybe this is to set the stage for understanding on a systematic issues. What do you see as the biggest barriers organization face achieving pay parity? And how do you think they can be addressed?
All right, so women out here, this is a very, very important thing, right? We are talking about women being paid 28% less in India than men. Okay. Before there are four big reasons to it. I'm going to talk about it, but I also want to point it out how Papa CJ took away a little bit of 5 minutes of our time from this session as well. That is how casually pay inequality happens in the workplace as well. It's so normalized. It's okay. Adjust kar lo. Women are very adjusting all the time, right? It's okay. You don't have to talk for 30 minutes. Is it okay if you talk for 25 minutes? And we are so generous that we give away 28 percentage of our sweat and blood to this cultural aspects. So there are four things why women are not paid equally. The first thing is the resistance to change the culture. We are still talking about, okay, men were hunters, women were nurturers. How long are we going to talk about that story? The second one is we talk about biases in the system. And the third most important thing is we do not have proper data in India to prove the point that women are paid less. If it is not measured, it cannot be fixed. So how are we measuring? We are not measuring. But for me, the most important thing why pay parity is still not a possible thing in India or across the world is transparency. Our organizations' reluctance to take the courage to be transparent. We're transparent about everything, right? We're transparent about the designation. We're transparent about quite a lot of things. But we are not transparent to talk about our salary packages, the bonus, the paycheck, or in a way, that is something that is causing the implicit and explicit bias in the workplace. When we talk about bias, it's a very behavior subjective aspect. But when it comes to pay, it's not subjective. It is objective and it is number. All we need to do is be transparent. You don't have to say exact number, but you could say this particular role, the salary band is from this to this, and you deserve it irrespective of what gender you belong to. And we don't have to be always going and nagging and negotiating and asking for it. It has to be transparent. All right. Every time I ask this question, I think especially you go to party, you go to workplace, what's your salary? People don't want to talk about it. All right. I'm going to invite each one of you here. Turn to your left. And just, I dare you to just say your salary package. Just turn to your left and just say, how much are you earning? Take pride in that, all of you women. Just turn to your left and say, how many of you said it? Raise your hands if you said your salary.
Oh, there. We saw one hand up.
Yeah? Anyone? Anyone daring enough
Yeah,
to share their... Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, that's absolutely it. You bring transparency. You're going to let go of the implicit, explicit biases, right? I know, Nikki, you would back me up on that one.
Yes, I would absolutely back you up because transparency, I love what you said. Transparency is super, super important. And it's something that I am very fond of and I actively promote at the company that I work for. And I'll talk about that in a little bit and talk about some of the examples. But transparency is at the foundation of all of our pay practices and our total rewards philosophy, because that actually is going to drive a lot more goodness. There's so many things that follow when you're in a transparent organization.
So it also calls about leaders committing themselves to, ensuring pay parity as well. Yeah? So it's so much so, only then the leveling ground is set. On that note, Nikki, I mean, it's about driving accountability as well, right? So how do you think, or how can a leader or the organizations ensure that pay parity is not just one time or a be done with initiative or just a checkbox, but it's an ongoing effort? How do you think it can be done?
So that is incredibly important. You don't want it to be just a check the box or a one-time only thing. And I'm really proud of where I work because we make this an ongoing process. And we have a lot of different aspects to it and a lot of different policies that go into play to ensure that our entire pay practice, our equity, when I talk about equity, I mean our stock, our promotion process, all of it is equitable and fair and transparent. So for example, we talked about transparency. One of the things that I love that our company did this past year is we actually launched a program that educated not just employees, but also managers around our competitive pay practices. We also made sure that they understood how jobs were leveled. And we also wanted to make sure they understood salary ranges. So coming from a company that is based in California, we have other laws around pay parity as well and pay transparency. So a few years ago, we also launched in the U.S. A philosophy or a process by which we actually publish all of our salary ranges. So we're very transparent in that. We also have things like we report out quarterly on progress around promotions, as well as career development opportunities, not just for women, but also underrepresented groups. All of this is also measured twice a year. We will have a third party that actually reviews all of our pay, our equity or our stock usage, and promotions to make sure that that's fair, equitable across the board, regardless of gender, regardless of race or ethnicity, and regardless of location. And that includes right here in India with our own employees. Lastly, we hold ourselves accountable to a board of directors. So we have a comp and talent committee that actually listens to us every quarter and wants to know what our progress is on DE&I initiatives or our inclusive leadership index or what we're doing to ensure pay parity. So those are just some of the things, but when we achieve that pay parity, I mean, it's really a recipe for success. And I know we were talking earlier about a few things, of course, but one of the things that really, I'll just say it irks me as a woman in tech, as a female who is out there in the workforce. But there was a recent study that was done by Indeed, and they discovered that more than half the women in the workforce have never asked for a raise. That totally surprised me. And then, of course, this is where we got to talking about negotiation. And how many of you actually, just raise your hand, how many of you have ever gone and attempted to negotiate your salary? Oh, way more than I thought, and I love that. That is awesome. Keep doing that. And by the way, if you've got tips for the people that didn't raise their hand, go find the people that raised their hand and go ask them how they did it. Because those are the people that you want to help support you. But why do we even have to negotiate? I don't know. You asked the question. I thought it was great.
I know. Every time, as a woman, I've been in the corporate space for 25 long years before quitting and starting my own company, right? So every time I ask this question, why are we putting all the burden on the women? Women are asked to lean in, learn about negotiation skill, and then go back and ask and plead. And why are we doing that for women,
And men go in and they there was a study done in the UK recently. I was reading another article around this, and they a lot of them actually feel very prepared when they go in, and they feel like they know their worth.
Yeah.
And then you have women who fear rejection, they don't have the confidence, or they feel like they're being too pushy. How many people have ever thought they were being too pushy? Yeah, you know what? You're not pushy. I promise you're not pushy. You're doing what needs to be done.
Absolutely. And I wanted to share one of my lived experiences. Um, Coming out of a very small village, upskilling myself, having a very hard climb in the corporate ladder, I've done everything. People say, okay, you have to learn to negotiate. I will learn that. And I've negotiated for 20 long years. And one of the two big companies, I applied to be a senior director. And then I realized I've negotiated too much because all the other three senior directors in the company were getting less paid. And the company said, we will not be able to pay you more than that. So my question is, I am ready to negotiate, but is the system ready to pay me, right? So coming back to pay equity or the pay gap, there are quite a lot of things. I'm just going to lead from that aspect, if that is okay for you, right? So what needs to be done? What needs to be done? Yes, negotiation is very important, but there are a lot of other important things that needs to be done as women or men. I think pay parity is for everybody and all of the underrepresented group. One of the things is be aware of the legal rights and the company policies that is prevalent already. Let me tell you, we have Equal Remuneration Act, which was drawn out in 1976 in India. How many of you know that? One person. We have Equal Remuneration Act. That means you cannot discriminate genders based on salary packages. So equally, everybody needs to be paid. And if a company fails to pay it or discriminating, not providing fair and equal opportunity, they could be punished both in terms of fine and imprisonment, right? But how many of us know that? So for you, if as women collectively, we are the superpower, if we want to get that pay parity happen, go back and create that awareness. Know about it first for yourself. Go back and teach it to other people. That's point number one. The second thing that you would do is, I think we all three people were talking about it at the backstage. Women are very humble people. We don't like to talk about our achievement. But if you want to be paid fair and equal, we need to start talking about the achievements. Have you noticed when a woman gets a car, she would say, I want to thank my mom, my dad, my loving husband, my neighbor auntie, my boss. I want to thank everybody who supported me in getting the car. But when a man talks, when he gets the car, he would say, you know what? I work really hard, 10 years to get this car. We don't like to talk about our achievement. So if you want to be getting paid fairly, you deserve it. You need to start recording your achievement, not in a secret diary somewhere, but start talking about your achievement to everybody. Everyone, don't shy away. Gone are those days when we said like, oh, I'm going to work and somebody will figure out that I'm a hard worker. No, nobody is figuring it out. Everybody is busy with their own
Yeah,
life.
be a self-advocate.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you have to actually it can start even earlier. We were talking even it goes just to compliments, right? And so we often are so humble that we don't even take the compliments. So turn to your neighbor and
Yes.
give them a compliment. And don't say, I like your shirt. Oh, I got it on sale. You don't need to justify it. Thank you. So it starts with things like that. Celebrate yourselves. You deserve it. If you've achieved something, you need to showcase that because guess what? You're the best person in that position to be able to showcase your achievements.
Absolutely. I think it can't be better than this, that we are our own makers, right? We will create our history. We will create our story. So we are the storytellers for ourselves, about ourselves. On that note, maybe, I mean, I think we did spend about, a bit of time on the self-advocacy. What do you think, Nikki, is the vision for future from the organizations, from the, if we were to put that frame, right, if and then, right, if we have all identified that there is pay parity that has to be established, then we will all achieve, perhaps talking in such forums, bringing it for more awareness. What happens after achieving that?
I love this question. So first of all, we all know pay parity is the right thing to do. Um, and I think though, once we achieve that pay parity, there's a lot that follows, right? People, when they are paid equitably, they feel like their contributions are valued equitably. And when they feel like their contributions are valued equitably, guess what? You have better employee morale. You have higher retention. You become a talent magnet. People want to go and work at your company. And that creates increased productivity. And that creates even better organizational performance. And one thing leads to another. So this is a no-brainer for me. When we can achieve that pay parity, it just creates goodness all around in the workplace. And so when you have a more engaged workforce, a happier workforce, one that feels that they're being treated equitably and fairly, you are going to outperform your competitors. And that's not me just saying that. There are actually studies around this. So, I'm a little bit of a movie buff, and I don't know if anybody's seen the Kevin Costner film Field of Dreams. Has anybody ever seen? I'm from the U.S. and I obviously Papa CJ was like not keen on us, but it's okay though. We have some interesting things going on in our country right now. So in Field of Dreams, there is a quote that says, "If you build it, they will come." And so I'm going to get back to that in a second, right? But in 2023, I think this is the stat. I wrote it down, but in 2023, I think the number of of women in high-tech roles here in India was 36%. And that's actually up from 30 a decade ago. But when we think about that, I mean, that it's good progress, but it's probably not great progress. So what is it that's holding us back? Is it unconscious bias in the workplace? Is it outright discrimination? Is it that we don't have women pursuing education in STEM or getting into STEM in the first place? How do we change that? Because I think if we can change it here, and we do have an opportunity, that moves the needle, and we will get more women in tech that way. And I think then we also achieve that greater pay parity. So, for me, the question is, if we build it, will they come? I think so. I go back to my cheesy movie quote. And I think if we can get this group collectively to have the call to action, are we all in this? Are we all asleep? Y'all are asleep. No, okay, no, nobody's asleep. All right, are we in this? That was really sad. Come on. All right, that's how we're going to do it. We've got to do it together. We have to lift each other up. We have to find our allies, and we have to educate, as Shubha said, because that is going to help us move the needle forward. And I hope to see not just 36% in the next year, but 40% and 45% and 50%, and to have it keep growing till we get to that half point.
And I want to add one more very strong reason as a business case for why we need to have parity, right? There was a recent study done, and they said India's GDP will increase by $717 billion if they start paying women what they deserve. All right? $717 billion the country will earn if women are paid, right? For this matter, I mean, of course, we women are all signed up. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here your entire day. We are signed up for us. We are signed up for every other sister who's come along with us. But it's not a single person's job. It's the country having a law, making it possible, making it, reinstating the law of, equal
Remuneration.
remuneration
Equal Remuneration
possible.
Act.
The workplace is becoming transparent, and then women asking for it, and then start feeling the sense of achievement, and then start projecting your achievement bigger. Otherwise, we will be walking, talking statistics, right? So don't let that happen. It's all in our hands. Let's push it. And I like what Nikki said, because we cannot do it alone. We need allies. I do still see some of the allies with us, sitting with us, standing for us, voicing out for us. But I think if every man in the workplace start asking, are women paid exactly the same amount as I am paid, I think it will make a lot of difference. Don't you agree, Kasturi?
I mean, soon we should be talking about pay for performance and not pay equity or pay parity
exactly
in the conferences. Right. Yeah. So I think that's the vision that we should all aim for.
That's what we should be talking about up here.
Yeah. So, I mean, any two last bit of sense that you would like to add that you think, I mean, being in the leadership role, Nikki, I mean, what is that the aspiring leaders, women leaders, can take back in harnessing that negotiation skills? And I would love that chime on you from you as well.
Yeah, I think if there's a call to action here from me, I would encourage you all to go back, and if you haven't, if you don't have an equitable pay practice philosophy, go find out why not. And if it's on you to, if it's on you, or if this is within your remit, go develop one, or go find out whether there actually is one. But this is on you to create, right? And I think if all of us here can commit to going and either establishing one or ensuring that the one that is in existence is well known, that's a great step in the right direction, because at the end of the day, I will add, girls can do anything. And I think, yeah, thank you for that, because very true. But that's what it starts with, because if we can do it, if I can do it with my company, and Shubha can do it with hers, and all the ones that she's consulting with, and Kasturi, you too. I mean, you all can do it as well.
And I think
Yes.
big round of applause for Nikki. Thank you. And I'll tell you a secret. We are good negotiators, right? Living in a patriarchy world, every single day we are negotiating everything. If you notice, can I cut my hair short? There's still a couple of people come back and tell me, why don't you grow your hair, Shubha? If you have to put on a jeans, you have to negotiate with a couple of people at home. If you have to go to school, you have to negotiate with your dad or your aunt who is in a different city. We've been negotiating every single hour and minute and day and year of our life. We do know how to negotiate. But I think one of the things, I think Bo spoke about it at the start of the thing, you need to feel it here. You need to feel I deserve it, because I've done quite a lot of hard work. I've burned midnight oil. I've put my sweat and blood into it, and I deserve it. You need to believe it. My work is worth 1 million. Then you go back and ask 2 million to that person will give you 3 million. But if you think, I don't think I've done a good job, and then you go and ask somebody 1 million, they would tell you why you don't deserve that 1 million. So have that inner confidence. Negotiate with yourself first. Convince yourself and do the best of the thing that you could bring to the organization. And then have that conviction that you are super powerful. And no one can do what you can do. Have that conviction. Once you do that, nobody can refuse you, because nobody has refused me in my career. Right? So keep at that.
So, the key takeaway is be your own champions.
Yes.
Yes? Be your own champions and design your destiny. Thank you so much. With that, I think we are on the hour and we didn't take much time. We are very inclusive. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nikki, Subha, and Kosturi. We've got little bags for you as well.